Okay. Can working part-time be used against me on a disability review? This is very similar to what we talked about whether it will impact your disability case where it's pending. The key is you got to look at the totality of it. First of all, let's kind of go back to the bigger picture that I've said before. You have an ongoing duty. I cannot stress it enough. I know I sound like a broken record, but you have an ongoing duty to prove that you are disabled. It doesn't end just because you get approved for disability benefits. So if by some chance you're working part-time, is it possible that it could be utilized to alert for a potential review? Sure. The bigger question is what you're asking in this one is, can it be used against you? Well, remember, you got to go down all the questions that I've talked about before. When did you start? What are you doing? How many hours are you working per day? And why are you only working those hours? Are you working those hours because that's the most you can do? Or are you working those hours because you're thinking if I just keep it on the low, that this way it'll stay under Social Security's radar? Do you require any accommodations to your work? Meaning, are you coming there early? Are you leaving later? Are you getting there later? Are you leaving early? Are you missing days? Are you getting disciplined? How are you feeling after you work? How long have you been working? All of this thing, and keep in mind, all of this information can be utilized against you. Let me rephrase that. Because too late, Ernie, you already said it. I don't want to say use against you in a way and to imply that this can be used against you in a negative way. It could also be used to support that you're disabled. Because if you're working under a special set of circumstances, you're only doing this because this is a shelter type of environment that's not necessarily part-time the way part-time is normally thinking of. Now, you're probably saying, okay, attorney, you just thoroughly confused me. Break this thing down for me again. Okay. When Social Security is looking at your circumstances, when they're doing a review, they're trying to determine if medical improvement has occurred. The way they're looking at it for purposes of disability is they're looking at, this is the condition that at the time you were found disabled, this is where you were at this point. Now we're looking at you now. What has happened? Has the limitations that you had before changed to where maybe you can now perform substantial gainful activity? The fact that you're working part-time is evidence that they would consider to determine whether medical improvement has occurred, which is why you don't want to just casually pass off that, I do part-time work. You want to be as descriptive as possible about the circumstances involved in the part-time work that you're doing, so that this way they can determine whether or not the circumstances involving the work that you're doing dictates the medical improvement has or has not occurred. So I don't want you to get into this mindset of thinking part-time work on one side, Social Security's on the other, and they've got the smoking gun to use against you. That's not the way it typically works. They're looking at it from the standpoint of medical improvement, and what you have to look at it from the standpoint is making sure you provide them an accurate and complete and detailed picture of the nature of how you're doing part-time work, so they can determine whether or not, from the information you provided to them, as well as all of your other evidence, does it demonstrate that medical improvement has occurred as a part of the continuing disability review process.
Tune in tomorrow as we will discuss how you can speed up your disability case.